Good morning, everyone. Uh, in the previous class, we started our discussion on the dynamic logic circuit design consideration, and we talked about two major parameters. One is the speed and power dissipation, and the second parameter is issues with dynamic logic circuits. And if we consider issues in dynamic logic circuit, we can have several issues. The first one could be like the signal integrity issues, and the second one will be the cascading problem, like if I am cascading two different logic circuits, then what kind of problem we will face. Okay, so let us consider one by one. The first one is the speed and power dissipation. We discussed this thing before, like in the previous class we discussed, like suppose let us have a CMOS inverter, and in that case we will be having the arrangement something like this. Okay, so we will be having one PMOS transistor and one NMOS transistor. If simply I'm designing the inverter. Okay, similarly, if we consider the footed dynamic logic, in that case the structure will be something like this, where we will have only one transistor in the pull-up side, which we call it the pre-charge transistor, and in the evaluation side we will have two transistor. One is for the evaluation and the second one is for the actual logic what we want to implement here. And we saw, like, if we consider the size of both the pull down transistors like M1 and ME are equal, are same, and are same as the M1 in the CMOS static logic, in that case we saw like the delay will be increased, especially if I am discharging the capacitor, load capacitor. Okay, so the TPHL is going to be doubled, it is going to be increased. Okay, so to overcome that problem, what we can do, we have an alternative. Yeah, definitely there is no problem in the TPLH because we have a single transistor in both the configuration. And if I'm considering like MP is equal to M2, so in that case the TPLH will be same in both the cases. Okay, now let us so because we saw in the second case we have some problem, like two transistors are there, that may lead to higher delay, especially while discharging. So this may create some problem. Okay, so to overcome that problem, we can consider the third kind of arrangement, and that we call it the footless dynamic, where we need to remove this evaluation transistor, and the pull down network itself, it can act as an evaluation network. Okay, so this is the arrangement. So in this case, because if I'm considering the simple inverter, in that case the footless dynamic design and the static CMOS designs are looking like both are same. Okay, so in one case the PMOS and NMOS transistor both are controlled by the input only, but in the footless case PMOS transistor is controlled by the clock and the NMOS transistor is controlled by the input one, but the number of transistors in both the cases are same. Okay, so this is how we can compare the delay. So let us try to make a table so that we will be able to understand it properly. Okay, so if I'm considering the delay, yeah, what is our assumption? Assumption is like, yeah, let me write here. Assumption is M2 is equal to MP and M1 is equal to ME. Okay, so this is our assumption, and based on this assumption we are writing this, or we are trying to make the comparison of all these things. Okay, so if we talk about the delay, so in static CMOS the TPLH will be 0.69 times CL into R M2. Okay, similarly the TPHL will be 0.69 0.69 CL into R M1. Okay. If we consider the photodynamic one, in that case, the TP LH will be 0.69 CL into R MP. Yeah, R MP means simply I am considering the on resistance here. And similarly, TP HL will be something different here, and it will be 0.69 into CL into R M1 plus R ME. Okay, so similarly, if we consider the footless one, so in this case, TP LH, that will be 0.69 CL into R MP, and TP HL will be 0.69 CL into R M1. So this is the comparison. So if we see here, in the first and second case, like the delays are equal, but in the second case, the delay is going to be increased, especially while discharging. Okay. Now let us consider the other combination, other thing like static power. Okay. So what is the status of the static power? So let us assume we can have a two possible input combinations. Okay. So if A is equal to 0, okay, so if A is equal to 0 and A is equal to 1, in both the cases only one transistor will be activated in the static CMOS logic. So in that case, like if A is equal to 0, or both the cases, if A is equal to 1, P static will be, ideally I'm talking about the ideally, so P static will be 0 here, and here also, like in the second case, P static will be 0. Now let us talk about the second case. In the second case, if let us assume we can have a 4 combinations. Okay, the first combination could be like clock is equal to 0 and input is equal to 1, A is equal to input is equal to 0, clock is equal to 0, input is equal to 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So we can have a 4 combinations. In that case, let us consider the first case. So I am writing just PS for the P static. Yeah, let me write it. P static. Okay, so P static for the first case, like if clock is equal to 0, in that case the pull-up network will be non-state, and the evaluation, because we have the evaluation transistor which are the complementary in nature, so in none of the case we will get the direct path, because precharge and evaluation both are in complementary nature, and so ideally the static power dissipation for all these combination will be 0. But the problem may come in the case of the footless dynamic one. So I'm just writing C for the clock. Okay, so C is equal to 0, A is equal to 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. And if I'm considering like P static, so P static will be like if clock is equal to 0, input is equal to 0, in that case MP will be in on state and M1 will be in off state, so we will not be having any power dissipation. But if we see clock 0 and input is equal to 1, so in this case we will observe some power dissipation, like direct path will be there, like M1 and MP both are in on state, So P static is non-zero. And if you see the third case, like 1 and 0, so again the P static is 0, and also for the fourth case P static will be 0. So the important thing is, like in one of the case we will get somewhat the power dissipation. So the third design is the power hungry, but as compared to the second one, it is having faster performances, like the delay is less. So there we need to fix a trade-off between the power and the delay, like which we need to consider. Okay, so if we need for the high performance applications, because see, in this case, because if I'm considering like M1 and ME resistance in the second circuit is same as like the MP1. So in that case, to match the TPHL and the TPLH, we need to increase some of the sizes, like because the size of MP need to be increased. So that you need to consider a different transistor sizing to match the equal rise time and the fall time, and this is the challenge. So if the number of inputs are keep on increasing, in that case, for all the combination, MP should be changed if we want to match the TPHL and the TPLH. Let me repeat it again what I'm saying. Suppose if I'm considering the second case, in the second case, if the number of inputs are increasing, okay, so yeah, this is going to happen for all the cases, but here the challenges will be increased because the MP will be the MP is the only transistor which we can change in the pull-up network. So only I need to increase that transistor only. So might be the MP will become the strong enough that there will be some no resistance, very less resistance that will be offered. So this is the things which you need to consider, especially if I'm designing all these things. So this is the simple comparison between among all these three possible combinations. Okay, now let us talk about some issues with the dynamic logic circuits. So we can have a four kind of like majorly we have a signal integrity issues, and out in this signal integrity issues, we can have a charge leakage problem. And the second problem could be like charge sharing problem. What is these problems? I will tell you, and how to overcome that problem I will also tell you. Third one could be like the back-gate coupling problem, and the fourth one is the clock feed through problem. So these are the major signal integrity issues, especially with the dynamic logic circuits. Okay, other than this thing, as I told you, we have some cascading dynamic gate issues. Also there will be some cascading problems. So what is that cascading problem we'll talk about, and how to overcome that problem I will also told you. I will tell you. And to overcome that problem, we can have a two different arrangement. And the first one is the domino logic, and the second one is the NP-CMOS logic. Okay, what is this domino logic? You may be knowing the domino effect, right? So the same kind of concept has been utilized here to overcome this cascading problem. And there will be some like NP-CMOS. So what is this NP-CMOS? I will tell you. Okay, so these are some issues, and then some solution of the cascading the dynamic logic gates. So let us discuss one by one. The first one, let us discuss the charge leakage problem. Okay, so the first problem is the charge leakage problem. Suppose I have this the footed dynamic logic circuit. Then what will happen with this footed dynamic logic circuit? Okay, suppose I have this kind of arrangement. Then what will happen? Let us assume if the clock is equal to 0, okay, in case of clock is equal to 0, this MP will be in on state, and if MP is in on state, that will start charging this dynamic node N. Okay, so this dynamic node N will be start charging. Okay, so and during this is what we call the pre-charge phase. So during evaluation phase, that will be evaluated. Now let us consider if I have fixed this clock 1, okay, clock is equal to 0, then it will be charged. Then I'm considering during the evaluation phase, I need to put this clock is equal to 1. Okay, If this clock is equal to 1, then I'm assuming that the pull down network will be evaluated, okay, because this ME is in on state, okay, but this will be evaluated based on the combination of this A. So if A is equal to 0, in that case the capacitor should not discharge, and if A is equal to 1, then this dynamic node will get direct path through M1 through ME to discharge. Okay, so this is how it can happen. But now let us consider if the evaluation phase is there and the input A is equal to 0. So this M1 transistor should be in the off state. Okay, and this ME transistor will be in the on state. If this is the case, because there is some there could be two kind of the possibilities. The first possibility is because the M1 is in off state, so M1 will offer some reverse bias diode configuration. Okay, because M1 is in off state, because see here, this is at the higher potential, because ME is on, so this particular potential will be grounded, like this this will be virtually grounded, this node will be virtually grounded, this is virtually high. So this is because this is charged, this node N is charged, so this potential is high, this node will be virtually grounded. So in between node N and this node, we will be having a reverse bias diode kind of configuration. Okay, so we will be having a reverse bias diode configuration, and that will, so, yeah, so this is the gate, and this is the clock, how it will look like. So we will be having the two problems. The first one is the reverse bias diode. Second one, yeah, so here we will have in between, because this is the dynamic, like this is the virtually grounded, so we will offer, we will see some reverse bias configuration between node N and the ground. Okay, and because each diode each diode is having some reverse bias current, so if there is some reverse bias current, so this capacitor CL, which was charged during the pre-charge phase, that will start discharging even though the transistor M1 is in the off state. Okay, so it will get some path to discharge through this reverse bias diode. Okay, so this is one of the problem. Second problem could be like the subthreshold leakage current. What is the subthreshold leakage current? Subthreshold means if we are operating our devices or VGS of any device is less than VTH, so we call it the subthreshold region. Even though the device is in the off state, it can at the lower technology nodes, the subthreshold problem is already there, right? So with the technology scaling down, the subthreshold problem comes, and the leakage power dissipation increases due to this kind of configuration. What is this subthreshold current? How it can be avoided? I will tell you later on when I will discuss the separate lectures on the power dissipation in CMOS circuits. Okay, so later on I will tell you what this subthreshold leakage current is. But for now, I'm just giving the briefing, like the subthreshold current is like if any device is in off state, and in that case, if there is some current flow through that same device, then we call that current is the subthreshold leakage current. So because M1 is in the off state, but due to the subthreshold current, there may be some current flow between node N and the ground one, and that we call it the subthreshold leakage current. So because of these two components, the waveform actually which we precharge during the precharge phase. So we precharge this dynamic node during the precharge phase. This is what the value we have charged it. But even though the transistor M1 is in off state during the evaluation phase, ideally this capacitor should not discharge, but due to this reverse bias diode in this subthreshold current, it will start discharging, and might be it can discharge up to some extent because of the subthreshold and this reverse bias. Okay, so this will start discharging, and then the waveform and the output voltage can degrade somehow, even though the transistor M1 is in off state. Okay, and again, if we talk about in the next phase of the precharge, then the waveform will be that can charge again, and during the evaluation again it can discharge. So this kind of problem is known as the charge leakage problem. Why we are saying like this? Because the here, because we have precharged and evaluated. In the normal CMOS, any one of the transistor is activated, like see either the PMOS and either the pull-up network or the NMOS network is active. So there is no dynamic node concept, but because of the dynamic node concept, that node will get discharged, and the effect of this reverse bias diode and the subthreshold leakage current is more, especially in the dynamic kind of circuits as compared to the static one. So yeah, please.
Why are we calling it a dynamic node kind of?
Dynamic node is node N, because we are dynamically charging this node through the precharged transistor. That is why we are calling it the dynamic node.
So dynamically, how we are charging? Can you explain the word dynamic here?
Dynamic, yeah, dynamic means, see here. If we see the normal, the original one, normal CMOS circuit, in that case, what happens? Let me go to the circuit, and then I will tell you. Okay, here, if you see here, if A is equal to 0, and then this will be in on state, and this will be in off state, and vice versa for 1. So this will be on and this will be off. So based on this input logics, this output gate transferred, or the load capacitor is charged or discharged. But in this particular case, this node or the output voltage does not depend on the A. This node capacitance at this node depends on the clock one. So we are dynamically, or we are forcefully charging through the clock signal, not by the use of inputs. Okay, in the case of a static one, this output voltage reflect or it changes based on the input combinations. But in this case, the output voltage changes with the help of this clock as well as this input. So in one phase we are charging, and in the second phase we are evaluating. That is why we are calling it a dynamic. Okay, so here this node capacitor depends on the functionality of the transistors, like on and off state of both the transistors. But here this node capacitance during precharge depends on the clock, and during evaluation it depends on the A. So that is why we are calling it dynamic one. You got the answer, or I need?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is why we are calling it the dynamic one. Fine. So yeah, so we were discussing about the charge leakage problem. Yeah, one more very important thing that you should know, we can have a charge leakage current on the opposite sides as well, because yeah, so there may be, because if this MP is in off state, might be this MP can have some subthreshold leakage current as well. So if there is some subthreshold leakage current through MP, in that case, this M1 will try to discharge, like this subthreshold current will try to discharge, but the subthreshold current of MP will try to charge this dynamic load. So somehow this level can be maintained. But yes, again, the important thing is what is the size of this transistor that makes a sense. Like if the size of M1 or the pull down network is large enough, in that case, the leakage current will be more as compared to the MP. Okay, so this is the thing which we need to consider, because if more number of transistors are there, in that case, I need to increase the size of pull down network to match with this the resistance of MP, so that we can have the equal TPHL and the TPLS. And if the size of M1 and MP are more, then this leakage current component will start dominating as compared to the leakage current which is flowing through this M1. Okay, so this is the what that can overcome the, that is the main contributor in the charge leakage, or the voltage will degrade. Yeah, so I just told you because of this MP. Yeah, let me use the green color to represent this one. So there could be some subthreshold leakage current through MP as well. But the thing is, because if there are more number of transistors in the M1, so effectively we need to increase the size of the pull down networks to match the resistance with the MP. And if we have increased the size in the pull down network, the subthreshold leakage current will increase. And if the subthreshold leakage current will increase, so this subthreshold current will start dominating as compared to the MP subthreshold leakage current. So it will discharge more instead of charging. Okay, yeah, definitely the MP subthreshold leakage current will be responsible to charge it back, but because there is more discharging as compared to the charging, so the effectively discharging will be more. So this is the thing which we should consider here. Okay, so what is the solution of this problem? To overcome that problem, because we have already studied the level restorer in the pass transistor logic, the same kind of concept we can use here as well. Okay, so to overcome that problem, we need to use the keeper transistor. Keeper transistor is nothing but this is the similar to the level restorer in the pass transistor logic. So suppose we have a circuit something like this. So we need to use one transistor in between the VDD and the dynamic node, and that should keep the voltage or that could hold the voltage at the high logic. And the size of this transistor, and to turn on this PMOS transistor, because we want to make it high, dynamic node should be strong enough. In that case, I need to connect this with the ground one. If I have connected with the ground one, then the output node will not discharge due to this charge leakage. And of course, the important thing is this keeper transistor, whatever we are saying here, this keeper transistor, or we can also call it the breeder transistor. Okay, so let me write it with the different colors so that will help you. Breeder transistor or keeper transistor. Okay, so we can call it the keeper transistor or the breeder transistor, and the size of this keeper transistor should be as small as possible, because if we'll keep this size of keeper transistor very high, in that case, because this keeper transistor is always in the on state, so the during the evaluation phase, this discharging of node is not possible. Okay, so this will create some problem, because the keeper transistor will hold the logic, because this is always in on state. And if it is always in the on state, if it is strong enough, then the evaluation is not sufficient. We cannot evaluate it properly. Okay, so this is the problem with this keeper transistor, which we have directly connected in between the VDD and the dynamic node N. Okay, so and the 2-3 things we need to consider. The first thing is, like, the keeper transistor can hold the logic, first thing, dynamic node, and that can avoid the charge leakage. Second thing is, like, the size of this keeper transistor should be as small as possible, so that during evaluation it should not create the problem. But the important thing is, like, during, let us assume during evaluation, this, because the MP is in on state, and let us consider this M1 is also in on state. So this is on, this ME is on, and because this keeper transistor is always on, so there is a direct path between VDD and the ground. And if there is some direct path between VDD and ground, it will create huge power dissipation. So the power dissipation will increase by using this keeper transistor. So if I am using the keeper transistor to hold the logic, so definitely the noise margin will be improved. Okay, the noise margin can be like whatever the drop was there, that drop can be overcome. But at the same time, the power dissipation is going to be increased. So this is the problem with this kind of configuration. So to overcome this problem, what we can do, we can, the first one is like, see here in the first problem, will like, it will hold the logic, but during evaluation it will act as a voltage divider, because this is on, this is also on. So there will be on resistance of this keeper and on resistance of two lower transistor M1 and ME. So, and we are observing the output at this node. We are observing at this node. And if it is something like this, and all the transistors are in on state, so the output voltage or the noise margin will be reduced. We have already studied. This looks like a past pseudo NMOS structure. Okay, and in the pseudo NMOS structure, the noise margin is reduced. We cannot get the exact logic low. There will always be some drop, and that depends on the size of something like this. So we have already studied this kind of the configuration. Okay, so the first problem is the noise margin reduction, and the second problem could be like the non-zero static power dissipation, which we have already studied, because keeper transistor M1 and transistor ME are in the on state, and if they are in the on state, there will be a direct path between VDD and the ground, and that will increase the power dissipation or the static power dissipation. So to overcome that problem, we can have one more solution, like solution of the solution, and that solution we can use like, here we have the circuit. So we can, instead of always in on state of this keeper transistor, we can make it controlled one, and here is the arrangement. Okay, so we can use one inverter over here, and that inverter will drive this keeper transistor. Okay, so if that, because we want to hold this dynamic node, so if the dynamic node is high, in that case we want to use this keeper transistor. So if this is high, here it will be low. So if the dynamic node is high, then the output will be the low, and that will activate the keeper transistor, and that will hold the logic. Okay, and in the opposite case, like if the dynamic node is 0, so because we don't need the keeper transistor to hold the logic, in that case the output will be 1, and this will be in the off state, so the keeper transistor will be will not be used. So the problem of noise margin can be avoided, and also this static power dissipation can be reduced. Okay, because none of the transistors are always in on state in the critical path. Okay, so any one of the transistors are in off state. Okay, so there is no direct path, so the static power dissipation will be reduced. Okay, so this is the solution, how we can utilize this one. Okay, but what is the problem with this one? Yes.
Sir, second one, is it possible that we can simulate the circuit by using this configuration?
Yes. I did my master's on this topic only. So I have published more than 7-8 papers on these dynamic circuits based on this keeper transistor only, and we are getting promising results. So yeah, this is possible.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah, this is validated. Yeah, we have already validated. Yeah, I did my research on this topic. So during master, so I can claim, okay, this is fine. This works. Okay. So yes. The thing is, so both the kind of problems like the reduced noise margin and the static power dissipation can be reduced with the help of this inverter and the keeper configuration. Okay. But another problem here is, what is the problem with this configuration? Suppose I am designing one inverter, okay? And if I am designing one inverter based on the CMOS logic, in that case, I need total 2 transistors here. But here what I am using one more inverter, CMOS inverter, to make one inverter. So this is the problem. The huge area overhead will be there. Okay. So at this point, we will get the output. So definitely the performance will be faster, but the area penalty is very high. Okay. So the area penalty is high, especially for the less number of inputs. So if the number of inputs are more, in that case, definitely this can overcome. So for now, if we see here, for an inverter, if we for any of the logic, how many transistors we need? We need 1, 2 transistors from here and 1 transistor from here. So we need 5 plus n number of transistors needed. Okay. So to design any logic, 5 plus n number of transistors are needed here. Okay, and which is very high, especially for the less number of less number of inputs or lower fan-in. Okay, so this is the problem.
So it will be 6 plus n, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, yeah, 6 plus n. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 for the inverter. Yeah, 6 plus n transistors will be needed for this one. So for the less number of inputs, this is the problem. But for higher input, definitely it can give you the benefit, especially on this side. Okay, so because we are dynamically charging and discharging. So this is the first problem and its solution. Okay, and again we are getting some problem in the solution itself, and that we have resolved by using this inverter and the keeper configuration. But again, this inverter keeper configuration is giving you some problem like the area overhead, especially for the less number of inputs. So this kind of logics are like dynamic logic is preferable, especially if our input is fan-in is high. So for large fan-in, we can use this dynamic logic circuit, and that will give you the benefit. Okay, so this was the first problem. Now let us talk. Yeah, please.
Sir, in this case, the A is the only input, right?
Yes, yes. A is the
equal to
input,
one.
only input. So this can act as an inverter. So here we will get the output, and here we are getting the output complement because we have complemented by this inverter. Okay, so for the single input, we need a total number of 7 transistors. So this is the problem. And in case of CMOS, we need only 2 transistors. So if by increase, like if we have 5 inputs in the CMOS, then we need 10 transistors. Or
Sir, I think that 5 plus n is only correct because I was like we 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 6 transistors in this case.
Okay, yeah. So this is, we are considering it as an input. So yeah, that is
Yes,
fine.
yes, sir.
Yeah, so 5 plus n is fine. So if I'm increasing the number of transistors, like in that case, we can overcome. Or if I'm increasing the number of inputs, in that case, the area can be matched up. Okay, so let us assume I have a 4 number of inputs. So for CMOS, we need 8 transistors, but here I need 5 plus 4 is 9 transistors. So this is the problem. Okay, in this case, we have additional transistor needed. But let us assume I have a 5 number of inputs. So for the CMOS, I need 10 transistors. And for here, also I need 10 transistors. So the area is exactly equal. But let us assume I have 6 number of inputs. So in that case, I need 12 transistors for the CMOS one, but here I need only 11 transistors. So 11 transistors. So if we see the graph, so let me make the graph. So this is the graph, and this is the graph, and this is for 5. Okay. Yeah, let me change the color so that will help you to understand better way. So this is for the dynamic, and this is for the static. Okay, so this is what the difference is. Okay, so this is the fan in, and this is the number. So number of transistors. Okay, so this kind of graph we can make, and we can assume how it will look like. Okay, so this was the first problem. Second problem is, doubts are clear, or any doubts is left? I think all the doubts I have cleared. Fine. So the second problem is the charge sharing problem. Okay, so what is the charge sharing problem? Let us try to understand this charge sharing problem and try to see how we can overcome this problem. Okay, so suppose I have a two input kind of configuration, something like this. Okay, and if the configuration is we have provided two input in the pull down network, respect A and B respectively. What happens during the pre-charge phase? Definitely this MP will be responsible to charge this dynamic node. So this dynamic node will be charged through this MP. Okay, now what happens if let us consider if B is equal to 0 and A is changing from 0 to 1, something like this. Okay, so if B is equal to 0, so let us consider what internal capacitance will be there, what kind of internal capacitances will be there. So if, because during the evaluation phase this ME is in on state, and if this ME is in on state, this node capacitor will be there. So we will be having one node capacitor over here. Okay, because of this M2. Similarly, because this M2 is also on, so in that case we will observe some capacitance over here as well, that we call it like CM1. Okay, and we are calling it CM2.
Sir, B equal to 0, so M2 is off, right?
Yeah, M2 is off, so right, because this is in on state. Yeah, so M2 is in off state, so this is there will be like off capacity, there will be some capacitance will be there, like it will offer some capacitance. So in all the state, like whether it is in on and off states, the diffusion capacitance or internal capacitance will also always be there. Yeah, I think I by mistake I told you M2 is on state, sorry. Yeah, if the B is equal to 0, in that case M2 is in off state. So and ME is in the on state during the evaluation phase. Okay, so what will happen? Let us try to understand this one. Here we will be having some capacitor. Okay, CM2 at this node. There will be some capacitor CM1, because there is always an internal capacitor at each node in between two transistors. So now what I am doing, if I am changing this input from low to high, if I am changing input from low to high, like initially it was low, so there was a node path between this dynamic node and this ground one. Okay, so there was no path between this dynamic node and the ground one. But if I have changed the input from 0 to 1, in that case this M1 will be in on state. Because this M1 is in on state and M2 is in off state, ideally I am assuming there should be no leakage of this like whatever the charge has been stored at dynamic node, that will not be discharged, because there is no direct path between dynamic node and the ground. But because I have kept this transistor A high, okay, like this input A is high, in that case, because this is on, so this capacitor will start distributing to this CM1, because there will be some internal capacitance because of this M1. Okay, and if there is some internal capacitance, and because this transistor is in on state, it will get direct path to discharge this, and that will be shared with this CM1. Let me repeat it again what I am saying. Let us consider input B is equal to 0 and I am changing input A from low to high. Okay, and there will always be a load capacitance or the capacitances between the two transistor or each node. Okay, so let us assume there is a CM1 transistor between transistor M1 and M2, and there is CM2 transistor capacitor between M2 and ME. Okay, now let us consider if I am changing input A from low to high, and if it is high, in that case M1 is in on state, and if M1 is in on state, it will get a direct path between dynamic node and let us assume this node is X. Okay, so there is a direct path between node N and X. So this load capacitor, whatever the data we have, that will be shared with the CM1 and the voltage will be degraded. Okay, I'm assuming that this will be evaluated like output capacitor will be discharged only if all the transistors are in on state, if both the transistors are in on state, M1 and M2. But because one transistor is on and the second transistor is off, ideally there should be no discharge, but it will discharge due to these internal capacitances, or it will share its capacitance, and the level, output level will be somewhat degraded. It will be shared with this CM1. Okay, so this is what the problem is. Okay, so to overcome that problem, what could be the solution? Can anyone suggest by considering the previous solutions?
Yes, so that same keeper thing.
Yes, the same kind of like keeper transistor can be connected at this node X. Okay, so that we can hold this logic, or this can be hold, or the problem can be overcome. Okay, so this is one of the solution, is like we can use one keeper transistor here, and that could be activated something like this. Okay, so this is one of the solution. But again, because this keeper transistor is in on state, okay, and if this keeper transistor is in on state, always in on state, so this will create a problem. Even though, like let us assume one case, if M1 is in off state, so let us assume M1 is in off state, okay, and M2 is in on state. Okay, I'm assuming because M1 is off, M2 is on, in that case the output voltage or this load capacitance should not discharge through A, B and the M1, or M1, M2 and the ME. Okay, it should not discharge because one of the transistor is in the off state. But if you see here, because this keeper transistor is on state, this M2 is on, ME is on, so even though M1 is in off state, we are getting the direct path between the VDD and the ground. Like see, this is on and this is also on and this is on, so we are getting the direct path here, and that will create a leakage current problem or the static power dissipation problem. Okay, so another thing, like to overcome this problem, what we can do, we can make this keeper the controlled one, which we did in the last solution.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, instead of connecting the keeper like this configuration, why can't we connect it in the way we connected it previous case? Like
in the previous case, we connected at the dynamic node, right? Okay, so because here what important thing is, like we need to hold it, like see, if I had kept this dynamic node, like whatever the node or whatever the resistance is discharging, whatever the, yeah, that can be done. So that will become the first problem. We have already discussed that we call it the first problem is the charge leakage problem. Okay, this is the charge sharing problem, because this leakage, yeah, this CL capacitance is getting shared with this capacitance, so we can hold this one, so we can make it at some logic. Okay, so
sir, like some of the charge from CL is transferred through CM1, so we that keeper transistor can give some of the charge through CL and it will fulfill their need, I think.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely correct. But the important thing is this one is, yeah, I think I missed one thing, that is why this doubt comes. Let me complete it again. So whatever this one is, like this is the problem where, like if I'm connecting this keeper transistor with the ground, okay, so then it will charge this one. But this keeper transistor is basically the keeper transistor in the second one, like in the charge sharing problem, this is controlled by the clock, not only the not with the output. I think now your problem will be solved. Okay, so because this is the clock controlled, so if clock is equal to 0, in that case, this will in on state, it will completely charge this one. And if clock is equal to 1, in that case, it will not, like this transistor will not be in on state. So this keeper transistor in this case is the clock controlled, okay, not the output controlled. And this is the difference between the previous solution and this solution. Okay, so in some of the cases, let us assume this capacitor is getting discharged. If, like, let us assume this is in on state, so this may be shared with the other capacitances, and that can be hold with this one. Okay, so this is how it is different from the previous one.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, like I understood that the problem is that when it is not like when it is not supposed to discharge, the capacitor is CL is discharging via capacitor CM1. But by restoring the voltage at point X, how are we remedying the problem?
So I think in that case, I need to derive in the mathematically. So because we do not have time today, so in the tomorrow's lecture, I will derive it mathematically so that you will be able to understand what exactly problem is. So, okay, so let
And
us
sir-
hold the problem here. Yes, please.
And sir, there may be like some more problems, like if there are many inputs like A, B, C, D, like 3, 4
Yeah,
inputs,
so we
then there
need
will be
n
internal
number of
voltage
keeper
problems.
transistor. We need n number of keeper transistor. This is the problem.
And
Yes.
there will be internal voltage also, so like noise margin problems also. There will.
Yes. This is the problem. So all these problems I will tomorrow I will discuss mathematically, so that you will be able to understand how it is affecting the noise margin and the leakage problem, something like that. Okay, so please hold on here only on the problem 2, and this problem 2 I will explain again mathematically, so that you will be able to understand. Yeah, this was in scope, but because we do not have that much time to explain it, tomorrow I will discuss in more detail about this charge sharing problem and how this keeper transistor is controlled with the clock. What happens if I'm controlling it with the output, and all this scenario we will discuss in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay, so I'm closing session here only. In case of doubt, you can write email to me. Thank you so much.